and welcome to News Now on TV360. I am Thelma Okoro. Yahaya Bello has been inaugurated as the governor of Kogi State. Bello, who was sworn in on Wednesday at the Lokoja Township Stadium, assumed his role without a deputy governor. Bello was picked by the All Progressives Congress to replace its late candidate, Abubakar Audu, who died before the conclusion of the election. The deputy governorship candidate of that party in the governorship election, James Faleke, was absent at the inauguration on Wednesday. Earlier in a statement, Faleke, who ran alongside Audu, said he will not serve as deputy to Bello. Also missing at the ceremony was the immediate past governor of Kogi State, Idris Wada of the People's Democratic Party, PDP. Both Faleke and Wada are challenging Bello's election at the Kogi Governorship Election Tribunal. Nigeria President Muhammadu Buhari on Wednesday arrived in Kenya on a 3-day state tour where he would join his host, President Uhuru Kenyatta, for significant bilateral talks. President Buhari will also join other dignitaries at a memorial service for Kenyan soldiers who were killed by Al-Shabaab in Somalia. This will be the president's second international trip this year. Kenya's State House announced that bilateral trade talks and counterterrorism talks will dominate the visit. At the conclusion of his visit, President Buhari and President Kenyatta will jointly preside over a Kenya-Nigeria business forum. Nigeria's Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, has expressed displeasure at news coverage which portrays terrorists and corrupt officials in good light. The minister made this remark at a workshop on conflict-sensitive communications and reporting in Abuja on Wednesday. He assured of government's resolve to implement national strategies against terrorism and corruption by putting it in place organized structures.
The war against terrorism and corruption must be anchored on an enduring master narrative. But for both spokespersons and correspondents, a key guide to be effective is to know what narratives support and amplifies our core national values. Our constitution, our religions, our cultures, our diversity, our armed forces and law enforcement officers, our ability to rebound in the face of challenges, all combine to make us a unique and great people. In the many difficult choices ahead, we must mobilize citizens in the positive direction and unleash the positive energy we need to develop our economy and live in peace and security. This is the kind of narratives we require to dismantle the infrastructure of extremism and unite against corruption. Beyond bullets, we must strengthen and mobilize our core national values and narratives against terrorism and corruption. Wherever you find corruption across the world, the pathway to radicalization is widened. Terrorists misinterpret and corrupt scripture in building their narratives, which they use to convert vulnerable people to their ways of thinking. We must consistently build networks of resilience against extremism. Faith groups, the media, politicians, government personnel, teachers, and school boards, community-based organizations, and all have a role to play in preventing and countering violent extremism. That is why government is working hard to put in place the institutional structures that we need to implement our national strategies against terrorism and corruption.
The National Human Rights Commission, NHRC, has called for international cooperation in fighting what it termed economic terrorism in Nigeria. The Executive Secretary of NHRC, Professor Ben Angwe, said this while speaking during a consultative meeting with a 10-man delegation from the United States in Abuja. Angwe told the White House security delegation that the diversion of funds meant for fighting insurgency to other countries puts the lives of many Nigerians at risk, while stressing that such needed to be tackled and the funds recovered. He stressed the need for Nigeria to develop and collaborate with the international community to fight the two major forms of terrorism, which are insurgency and economic terrorism. A federal high court in Abuja has adjusted the conditions for bail granted the spokesperson of the People's Democratic Party, Olisa Metu. Metu, who is being prosecuted for allegedly receiving 400 million naira arms money, has been in detention since his arrest over 3 weeks ago. A court granted him bail on a 400 million naira bond and 200 million naira each from two shorties. The court also said the two shorties must have properties within the Maitama area of Abuja. Meanwhile, on Wednesday, Justice Okonabang, who gave the initial orders that assets from other parts of Abuja would also be accepted, he urged Metu to appeal if not satisfied with the bail conditions. More than 387 billion naira has been shared among the federal, state and local government areas of Nigeria as revenue for December 2015 in Nigeria. Permanent Secretary of the Federal Ministry of Finance, Mahmood Isaduse, announced this while addressing newsmen on the outcome of the Federation Account Allocation Committee meeting, FAC. He said the shared amount comprised the month's legal revenue as well as exchange gain of 4.5 billion naira, which was distributed as well.
The total revenue that has accrued to the Federation account, which for this month comes to 321 billion naira. That is the gross statutory revenue available for distribution to all the tiers of government, 321 billion naira, which has been, after due deductions, we have a net amount distributable 307 billion naira, which has been distributed as follows. Federal government 148 billion, states 74.8 billion, local governments 57.7 billion, and then for derivation 27.7 billion, making a total of 307 billion. Then for value added tax, total collection for the period under review comes to 62 billion naira. And the after due deductions, cost of collection by the Federal Inland Revenue Service, we have a figure of 59.6 billion naira, which has been distributed as follows. The federal government's share 8.9 billion, states 29.79 billion, and the local government councils 20.8 billion. So the total for the gross statutory revenue and VAT after deductions comes to 387.771 billion naira, which is 17.889% more than what was distributed last month in December. The balance in the excess crude account as at 26 January 2016 remains at $2.258 billion. So in summary, ladies and gentlemen, this is the amount that has accrued to the Federation accounts and that has been distributed to the various levels of various tiers of government.
Nigeria's Minister of Justice and the Attorney General of the Federation, Justice Abubakar Malami, says the federal government will soon receive another $750 million allegedly stolen by former military dictator Sani Abacha. Justice Malami made this known during a meeting with House of Reps Committee on Justice at the National Assembly in Abuja. Also to be returned to the Nigerian government is the £6.9 million stolen but recovered from former Delta State Governor James Ibori. Ibori is currently serving jail term in the UK over corruption charges. Justice Malami said his ministry will engage in mutual agreements with foreign governments to ensure the repatriation of illegally acquired assets. Former Inspector General of Police Sunday Adewusi has passed on. He died on Tuesday at the age of 80. Adewusi died at the National Hospital at about 9 p.m. after a brief illness. The first public relations officer, Bisi Kolawole, confirmed this while on Wednesday morning, Adewusi made record as the youngest officer to head the country's police force at the age of 45 in 1981. Nigeria's central bank has kept the benchmark interest rate at 11%, its governor, Godwin Emefiele, has said. Emefiele said the 12 members of the bank's Monetary Policy Committee voted unanimously to keep the rate unchanged. The bank also held the cash reserve ratio for commercial banks at 20%.
The committee noted that at its November 2015 meeting, it eased monetary policy with a view to increasing the liquidity of the banking system. This was aimed at moderating domestic interest rates so as to encourage indigenous businesses to borrow. While the objective of stabilizing the financial system in the aftermath of the Treasury Single Account, TSA withdrawals, and JP Morgan delisting of Nigeria have been largely achieved, the goal of increasing lending to key sectors of the economy is yet to be achieved as the bank continues to adopt moral suasion to encourage the deposit money banks to support financing for targeted lending to the real sector as well as agriculture, solid minerals, and small and medium enterprise sectors of the Nigerian economy. Despite current challenges, the committee remains guided by evidence underpinned by credible data in its holistic evaluation of the emerging scenario and in its assessment of policy choices. Consequently, the committee believes that given sound and properly coordinated monetary, fiscal, and external sector policies, there is wide room for optimism about the medium to long-term macroeconomic prospects for the Nigerian economy, especially given the clarity in the policy direction of the administration, the various interventions in the real sector, gradual improvement in the power sector, and the reinvigorated fight against corruption. The committee also believes that the effect of softer monetary policy stance adopted in the last MPC should start crystallizing soon through expansion of credit to critical sectors of the economy. In addition, the unveiling of the federal government budget oriented towards social, economic, and infrastructural development is expected to provide the necessary impetus for growth. The committee acknowledged the continuous liquidity surfeit in the system, stemming partly from the recent growth-stimulating monetary policy measures, as well as the tendency of the banks to invest excess reserves in government securities rather than extend credit to the needed sectors of the economy. To this end, the committee once again urged deposit money banks to improve lending to the real sector as part of their patriotic obligations to the country and enjoined the management of the bank to continue to explore ways of incentivizing lending to employment and growth-generating sectors, particularly the SMEs. Monetary Policy Committee also emphasized the necessity of coordination between monetary and fiscal policies as prerequisite for resolving the nation's economic problems, particularly steering the economy away from oil dependency. In particular, the committee stressed the need for the fiscal authorities to complement the bank's low interest rate policy orientation by properly coordinating its borrowing activities and rates with the bank in order to push the common objective of stimulating banking system credit delivery at low interest rates to the key sectors of the Nigerian economy. It noted that given the current economic reality of dwindling oil revenue and a rather unclear outlook for commodity prices, there will be need for a recalibration of the fiscal strategy to increasingly explore opportunities in non-oil tax revenue. Finally, the committee reiterated its unyielding commitment towards achieving a stable exchange rate regime to ensure more flexibility for sustainable inclusive economic growth in the medium to long term.
Now, still on the Apex Bank, the Central Bank of Nigeria has insisted that despite the fall of the Naira, there will be no devaluation. There have been growing calls on the Apex Bank to devalue the Naira, which currently exchanges for 300 Naira to a dollar in the unofficial parallel market. The official rate, however, remains 197 to a dollar. Central Bank Governor Godwin Emefiele told journalists in Abuja after the monetary policy meeting that the CBN would continue to interact with fiscal and monetary authorities to check the downward slide of the country's currency.
I wish I had the dollars. I wish our reserves were as high as 50, 60, even 40. We will not be in this. It's because we have limited resources and we will need to continue to say, let us prioritize the use of these limited resources for the good of our country. That is what we are doing. We need to prioritize and ensure that only those that want to import essential raw materials, plants and equipment, at least that they enjoy some preference in the allocation of foreign exchange. We will try as much as possible to cover everybody. We want to make sure that where we have obligations to pay, that we pay those obligations, trade obligations, as much as possible. That's what we are doing. But again, I want to assure Nigerians that we are seeking ways to improve the foreign exchange supplies into the market. And as this eventually, we achieve these objectives, these will be unfolded so as to ensure that we improve the liquidity in the foreign exchange market, just like we have said in the course of the communique and deliberation at the Monetary Policy Committee meeting.
The CBN governor also said there will be no going back on the decision of the Apex Bank to stop the sale of foreign exchange to the bureau de change operators, insisting that they do not constitute a significant part of the foreign exchange market.
Everybody, including the BDC themselves, know that that market is not a very important market as far as we are concerned. It's not a significant in terms of volume. It's about 5 to 10%. But I think it's high time we all realized or agreed that government cannot continue to provide foreign exchange to support the needs of that market. Nigeria is the only country on earth where Central Bank of Nigeria provides cash to meet the needs of bureau de change. We saw a situation where the number of bureau de change rose from 74 in 2005 to almost 2,800. And the activities of the bureau de change have not been, I must say, they have not been palatable, and that's the reason we took those decisions. We will continue to work with them because they remain licensed to operate in Nigeria. They remain licensed under the Central Bank of Nigeria. We'll try to see how to assist them to deepen activities in that market, and then so they can source their foreign exchange, just like we suggested, from the autonomous market.
Let's take a short break now. When we come back, we'll look at more stories. Please stay tuned.
Hello, you're welcome. You're watching the Funny White Man Show, which is the biggest, the brightest, and the most entertaining show in Africa.
Funny white man, funny white man, funny white man, but this way you talk, it's too much. Give me 5,000 man, that's you. It's too much. So you get it like, Messi move along the street. Ah, yeah, Messi like that, I'm going girl. You know, my own people, actually. Yeah, fine, it's fun. I enjoy it. And I'm one of those very few, I'm forever taking it personal. I will listen 160 million Nigerians are corrupt. How? My brother, I'm looking for you.
Yeah, but it's a growth, and this is the time to build business and know the pitfalls and know what to do and what not to do. But there are months where you get business and months.
You know how we do, how we train them. We do the way you do.
Hello, you're welcome. You're watching Trending Matters on the Funny White Man Show. Of course, we will bring you trending issues just to entertain and tickle your fancy.
Welcome back. You're watching TV360 News now. To other stories, all futures fell on Wednesday after a surprise rise in U.S. inventories wiped out the optimism over the potential for the world's largest exporters to cut output. Brent crude fell 55 cents to $31.25 a barrel, while U.S. crude fell 94 cents to $30.51 a barrel. Oil prices bounced on Tuesday after senior OPEC and Russian officials stepped up vague talks of possible joint action to eliminate one of the largest surpluses in modern times. Former Ivory Coast President Laurent Gbagbo will go on trial at the International Criminal Court on Thursday. He becomes the most senior politician to do so since the Global War Crimes Tribunal was set up 13 years ago. Gbagbo has been accused of unleashing a civil war that killed 3,000 people after he refused to accept losing a re-election bid in 2010. He remains an influential figure at home, and there are fears that his trial could rekindle tensions in the country. The ICC was set up in 2002 to deal with genocide, crimes against humanity, war crimes, and crime of aggression. It has, however, been accused of being biased, as it has only so far charged only African leaders. The European Commission has said Greece has seriously neglected its obligations to control the external borders of the passport-free Schengen zone. The assessment found failures to check, register, and fingerprint migrants arriving in November last year. If the draft report is approved by Schengen members, Greece will be given 3 months to improve on its security outlook. Otherwise, the EU may recommend to other states to temporarily close their borders to Greece. More than 850,000 migrants and refugees arrived in Greece just last year. The Nigeria Football Federation has apologized to Nigerians for failing to progress to the CHAN 2016 quarterfinals. Eagles crashed out of the 2016 African Nations Championship on Tuesday after bowing 1-0 to Guinea. NFF President Amaju Pinnick reiterated that the African Nations Championship is developmental for bigger challenges, but the country will now focus on the bigger tournaments, which is the 2017 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers. Nigeria's Hospitality House Project Committee for the 2016 Olympic Games in Rio, Brazil, has reconstituted. The 15-man committee, earlier inaugurated by the Director General of the National Sports Commission, Al-Hassan Yakmut, on November 5, 2015, has now been slimmed down to 7 members only. The reconstituted committee was inaugurated by the Minister of Sports, Solomon Dalong, in Abuja, and has Mohamed Abdullahi as its chairman and project coordinator, while the Nigeria Olympic Committee will be represented by Bapa Misao. The minister said the committee was reduced due to financial crunch. He charged the committee to promote and showcase the country's culture at the Rio Olympic Games in August this year.
The 7-member committee, which is made of 1 representative each from the National Olympic Committee, NOC, the National Sports Commission, Mobile Consulting Limited, Nigerian Embassy in Brazil, and 3 representatives nominated by the Honorable Minister, has the following members. 1. Mohamed B. Abdullahi, the project coordinator / chief executive. 2. Alhaji Bala Usman, member. 3. Mrs. Adeshola Ndu, member. 4. Honorable Bapa A. Miso, chairman. 5. Mr. Ta Uko, member. 6. Okechukwu R. Nebo is a member and the head of Chancery in Nigerian Embassy in Brazil. 7. We have Shama Makpa, is secretary member. Permit me to state here that your appointment into this committee is a testimony of the confidence which the federal government reposes on you. I charge you, therefore, to deploy your energies, God-given talents, and well of experience to implement the Nigerian House Hospitality Project on the 2016 Olympics in Rio de Janeiro to achieve a resounding success. You are to identify and recommend a suitable venue within proximity to the Games Village in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Identify and solicit for sponsorship locally and internationally to aid the Nigerian House project. Network with the Nigerian Embassy and the local organizing committee of the Games and help facilitate seamless movement of participants as well as materials such as artifact, arts, craft, solid minerals, investment equipment, etc.
Premier League leaders Leicester City still intend to sign Nigeria's Ahmed Musa, despite having an initial bid rejected by CSKA Moscow. The Russian side have rejected a $21.6 million offer as they hold out for a fee closer to their $27 million valuation of the forward. The 23-year-old is believed to be open to a move to Leicester City. The Nigerian captain has a $32.5 million buyout clause in his contract, which runs out until 2019. Leicester are expected to return with an improved bid for the player before the transfer window closes on the 1st of February this year. We've come to the end of news now. We thank you very much for watching. I am Thelma Okoro.